Hey good lifers, welcome back to the channel. It's great to have you here. This week has been super hectic here at Castle Good Life because we've got a lot going on, but it has reminded me that there's a lot of things we do to ensure that even on busy weeks we can stick to our ethos of homesteading, self-reliance, self-sustainability and all of that kind of stuff whilst not harming the planet at the same time. So I thought, as we've had a bit of a busy week this week, it might actually be nice to sit down and share those things with you, because we're all about the small homestead and what we can do on the tiny budget that we have and the tiny space that we have. Hopefully this video is going to be interesting to you. So first things first, it has been a really busy week this week, but hopefully that's for good reasons. There's some exciting stuff going on that I really want to tell you about, but you'll have to wait. But it's all right, it's good. But one of the things that I notice quite a lot in a lot of the online communities and stuff that I follow is when people start to run out of time in their lives due to all the things that are going on, that's when we can think, oh, it'd be easier to just do this or it'd be easier to do that. Because let's face this life that we have homesteading kind of wise is it's hard work. We call it simple living, but I don't know what insane person came up with that term, because there's nothing simple about it half the time. So what I want us to think about is how can we plan in advance for those busy periods, because you're just like me, you have busy life, busy work, busy everything going on. But if we don't plan ahead for them, we can't actually put things in place that allow us to still live the life that we want, still have the good food that we have, do the things that we want to do within our ethos, and care for the planet at the same time, because that's something that we are really, really passionate about here in Castle Good Life. We are really passionate about looking after the planet that we have within the abilities that we have. So that's kind of what I wanted to explore today, how easy it would be to just reach for a convenience food or just call a takeaway because it's easier or whatever. There's a lot of things that I realise that we've actually put in place to allow us to not have to do that. So that's what I'm hoping to share with you a little bit. So one of the first things I want us to think about is, what do we actually value the most for us right now? Because we don't have a huge amount of land, we don't have a big house with loads of space and all that kind of stuff. But we do really want to value cooking from scratch, cooking good food. We're not angels, I'll give you that, but cooking from scratch, cooking good food, and also not wasting things and being as sustainable as possible. They're like our four main values, but two of them are the same thing: cooking from scratch and cooking good food. So we want to cook good food, we want to be healthy and sustainable for the planet, and we don't want to be really wasteful, which I think are three really good values for any homesteader or budding homesteader to have. And we're definitely budding homesteaders. One of the things that has really popped up is people doing meal prepping. So you actually plan out your meals for the week. Now, that doesn't work for me and G. I'd really like it to work because it'd be so much easier for us. It doesn't actually work for me and G because we don't always know what we want to eat. We don't actually know what time we're going to get in for dinner, and having the same thing in a freezer. Anyway, it doesn't work. But what I have realised that we do quite a lot, actually, and now we do it naturally rather than just actually planning it in, is we tend to batch cook, but we'll freeze or we'll preserve in single person portions. So those nights that we think to ourselves, you know what, I can't do dinner tonight, I haven't got the time, I haven't got the energy, whatever, we can get a couple of single person portions out, throw them in a saucepan or whatever, warm them up, and in a few minutes you've got a really good food. You know what's in it, you know how much is in it, you know what you're eating, which is a really good thing. Batch cooking in itself is a great idea, but what can happen is, first of all, you can end up having a freezer full of exactly the same meal, which no one wants. And second of all, you can spend hours creating all these different meals. I do have a video, I will link it somewhere, can't have a look for it, about how I managed to cook, I can't remember, 50 something meals in 2 hours, where I did batch cooking, but I used the same base recipe to just change it up a bit, put it all in silicone bags and put it in a freezer with labels on it. It was absolutely amazing, and we do this all the time. What we're also doing now is when we cook meals in the evening and when there's any extras, we're being really strict about all of those extras get preserved in some way. It might be that they go into the fridge because I'm going to have it for lunch tomorrow. I would probably say 6 out of 10 meals that's what happens for. I normally have a small portion for lunch the next day because I work at home all day. Other than that, normally they get put into a silicone bag and they go into the freezer. I'm a really big fan of silicone bags in the freezer because you can stack them up and they're a lot easier. They take up a lot less space than glass tubs, which is quite cool. For us, having a freezer full of portions allows us to really, organise our lives that way. I am also a little bit of a nerd, so I ended up creating QR codes that I put on each of the foods, and then I scan them in on a spreadsheet on my laptop, and I actually know then exactly what is in my freezer, so we can just look down at any point and go, right, this and this. We've got 25 portions of toad in the hole, we should probably have that for dinner tonight. It's easier that way. So it's quite a nice way of organising your time that way. And if anyone wants a little video on how I did that, please comment below and I'll put it up. It's actually, I managed to do it for free and it was really, really easy, surprisingly. So it works quite nicely. So that's definitely something that is been a bit of a game changer for us, having that pre-ready food that just saves us having to run out for a takeaway or something like that. On that same note, what we also have is we're beginning to build up our stores of preserved foods. So earlier on in the year, I think it was, I actually got a Pressure King Pro from Facebook. This is much like an Instant Pot, and my Pressure King Pro has a canning function on it. There is some debate as to whether or not it is actually good enough as a pressure canner. So what I tend to do is I assume it's good enough as a pressure canner, but I always reheat food. So I haven't killed anyone yet. That's the theory I'm going with. But this is great. It's an electric pressure cooker basically, and it means I can fit between 4 and 5 jars of things in it. They need to be small jars, so it's probably smaller than a pint. I think the biggest ones I have are just under 400 grams, so about. But they're smaller jars, but they're 1 portion jars, which are great. So that's been really cool, and the bonus of that is as well, it doesn't take me very long to fill the jars up, pop them in the canner, turn it on, and then I can go off and do my job, do my work, do everything else that I've got to do. Literally the other day I made rice pudding in the slow cooker overnight, so I literally put it in before we went to bed, and then in the morning when it was ready to go I had some for breakfast, because who doesn't want rice pudding for breakfast? So I had rice pudding for breakfast, and then all of the others I just popped it in jars and stuck it in the pressure cooker and pressure canned it while I was working. So that was really cool. And that's great because it means that time that we spend doing the food preservation is actually only those physical few minutes of filling up the jars, putting them in, pressing the buttons, and then a few minutes of taking them out and putting them on the cooling rack and then sticking a label and putting them in the cupboard. But that can happen over a 2-day period. Sometimes jars have sat on my counter for a couple of days requiring labels. But that's fine because it means, again, we can fit them in, especially when we've got busy days. And it also gives me a few minutes away from my laptop, which is something I need quite regularly. Hopefully that kind of gives you some inspiration. And I really like my Pressure King Pro. I think I got it for £20 on Facebook Marketplaces. So that was a bargain. There's a little problem with the LED screen, but it still works. So I'm keeping it. I love it. And another thing, now I think about it, that the pressure cooker itself is really good for. Now, I don't know if pressure canners can do this, but I would assume so. But the electric pressure cooker that we've got that we do canning in, we also cook in it. So like the other day, it was only a few days ago actually, none of us could be bothered to cook because we both had long days at work and there was a lot going on. But what I did is I just had some chicken, chucked it in the pressure cooker. I then chucked in a few cans of different vegetables that we had, some peas that were in the freezer. I chopped up a potato and a couple of sweet potatoes, threw that in as well, filled it up with a couple of jars of chicken stock from stock that we'd been canning last year, and also some dried lentils and pulses and things. Filled it up, put it in the pressure cooker for about an hour and a half while we got on with other things that we needed to do. Afterwards, the most amazing stew. Honestly, I forget how good pressure cooker stew is because it's been cooking for hours. It's really, really good. That has been saving us a huge amount of time when it comes to food, and the food tastes really good as well. There's actually a load of recipes you can do in the pressure cooker. I'm thinking about collating them all and running through a few on a video in the future. So please let me know below whether or not that sounds like a fun thing for me and sounds good. So another thing I've also been thinking about this week, not just food related, everything's food related on this channel, but not just food related, more like life related, is actually trying to organise some time to make sure that not only do we get all of the things done that we need to get done, but also that we get time together. She is an early riser, I am not an early riser, so I'm quite happy to work late into the evening, which I'll do. This is when I'll do things like sometimes editing videos, filming videos, stuff like that. I'll do some work for other bits and pieces. I'm trying to spend time doing things like updating the website. That's something that's kind of, I'm trying to put more blogs and more recipes and things like that on there, so that's really cool. Also editing videos and stuff like that. That's things that I can do in the evening when he's asleep. But we also try and really ring fence time together, because it's important as a couple. You want time together and actually spend time together. It also is really important for us as well. We've both got families, we've both got jobs, we've both got things that are going on in the world. So we want to try and actually carve out that time together. And sometimes that means combining it with other activities. So there's been a load amount of times where we've been sitting on the sofa having a chat and a chill out in the evening, and I'm busy repairing something that needs to be repaired, sewing it up or whatever. That kind of dual use of my time is really good. These are the sort of things that I think, especially if you're really busy, carving out a little bit of time each day is really important. We talk about self-care and all of that kind of stuff, and it's super important. But just being a bit intentional with your day, I think, is something that we should all work towards. So let me know your comments on that below. And now it's over to you. So I'm always wanting to learn things. So tell me below, how is it that you manage your day on, small space, tight budget, low sleep, all of these things. How do you manage to stick to your homesteading, self-reliant ethos without going completely mad? Because I'm pretty sure I'm close to the going completely mad bit. But no, there's a lot of stuff going on. I'm really excited for the next few weeks. I know we're going into autumn, which is normally fall for our American friends, and autumn's normally the quiet bit in the year, but ours is shaping up not to be quiet, put it that way. So I've got some really cool, exciting stuff to share with you, which I will share with you in future videos. It's going to be fun. We're finally smiling again, which is good. But yes, it's fab. Don't forget, if you would like to hear more about how to achieve a homesteading lifestyle on a small budget with no money and no land and no time, follow me for more content if I've got the time to release it. I'm kidding. I'll see you next week. Bye.